Am I the asshole for calling my brother a sore, slow loser? Throwaway account. My wife, Irene, is very fit. She likes working out and has a proper exercise regime, etc. She believes that if she feels good, she looks good, and she feels good working out. So who am I to stop her? My brother, Will, spent the latter half of last year going through a messy divorce and now needs a place to stay. Though my brother and I aren't very close, I figured he would only stay with us for a couple weeks until he got back on his feet. Will is a typical gym rat. He's always on a very strict diet, always working out and bragging about his gains. I've worked out with him a few times and he's a little obnoxious. He's always mad at you if you don't work at his pace and is always trying to correct your form. He's a pretty fit and muscular guy, but I don't like to exercise with him. Will has been pushing Irene to work out with him because, according to him, she won't be able to keep up with him. Irene mostly just shrugs him off with a laugh and tells him she would love to work out with him. Irene works out in the mornings, 3 times a week, and then does a run in the evening, but she's been busy this past week and hasn't been able to stick to her usual schedule. Will thinks that she's making excuses because she doesn't want to be embarrassed by him. Again, Irene just laughs him off. About 2 days ago, Irene and Will went on an early morning run. I didn't go with them, but the first thing I heard when Will entered the house was, "The only reason I couldn't keep up with you, Irene, is because you were sweating too much." I found this extremely comical, and kinda just laughed him off. Irene rolled her eyes and went to take a shower, so I thought that the conversation would die. However, Will just kept bringing up my wife's sweat. My wife went to work and he told her, to make sure she doesn't sweat through her clothes, or when she called me in the middle of day, he yelled, "Tell the sweaty bitch I said hi." Of course, the bitch comment aggravated me and I told him to knock it off and stop acting like a child. I thought that was the end of it, but he just kept going. By the end of the day, I was tired of his comments, but Irene seemed rather unfazed by them. When she served him food, he made a comment about her sweating into the food. At this point, I was at my wit's end and I told him to stop acting like a sore, slow, referring to his running pace, loser, and eat his food. Will, of course, got angry, and said the only reason he was going slower than usual was because he was distracted by my wife's unhygienic sweat. Irene looked a bit offended by this, and I told Will that I would kick him out if he made another comment like that. He's been super pissed ever since. I jokingly told this story to a mutual friend and they agreed with Will. Maybe I shouldn't be so harsh. Update. I didn't expect this amount of responses. Thank you for all the advice. I've decided to kick him out. He will be staying at a nearby hotel now. Not the asshole. Your mutual friend is an asshole too. When you are a guest, you act polite or you GTFO. I can see why he's getting divorced if he thinks insulting his hosts is okay. Good for you for standing up for your wife. Irene seemed rather unfazed by them. Glad she can shake off the comments. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Why is sweating unhygienic? Because women need to be fuckable at all times? Anyway, time to kick the loser to the curb. Your wife is way more important. Wow. Hard to imagine why your brother got divorced. Not the asshole. Sewell can make shitty comments about your wife, but you say one thing about him being a sore loser and that's taking it too far? Not the asshole, and I would tell him to find somewhere else to live. Perhaps in that fantasy land in his mind where women don't sweat. Not the asshole. What the fuck is your brother smoking, and why isn't he sharing anything with the rest of the class? I don't care if your wife was sweating like Regan vomiting pea soup in The Exorcist. Once she showered it's over, and anyway wouldn't he want to be in front of that? Your brother is a disgrace. Edited to add. You should also ask your wife how she feels, and if she's comfortable with him still being there. After a man constantly digging at me like that in my own home, I would want him out. I'd feel extremely menaced and uncomfortable. Tell the sweaty bitch I said hi. Not the asshole. He really shouldn't be playing with fire and instead be more grateful that you and his wife took him in. You defended your wife and your friend agreed with the offender? Not the asshole, but your bro and friend can GTFO. Am I the asshole for allowing a work acquaintance to embarrass herself by unknowingly asking my boyfriend out? I, Paula, 31, F, attended a large, multi-day work conference that my boyfriend Tom, 48, M, also attended. We work for different companies, network with different people, and pretty much only saw each other when it was time to go to sleep. Most people don't know we're together because neither of us have a social media presence or talk about our personal lives that much. I primarily stuck with the people I knew from my office, Sarah and Marilyn. and a couple of other people that I knew from school. An NBSP. One woman, Tiana, 39, F. knew Marilyn and decided to stick close to our group, and she had a kind of mean girl attitude that I only remember from high school. Tiana is gorgeous and she knows it, and for some reason my existence seemed to personally offend her. It may be because I'm average looking and plus-sized. She may have some personal beef with me that I don't know about. I don't know. But she would constantly make little passive-aggressive digs at me. About my hair. I just love how you have a signature look and wear your hair in a bun every day with the little wispies, which are just frizz. About what I'm eating, those bread rolls look so good but I was just stuffed after eating only half. Do you want mine too? And she would do things like ask me to take a picture of her, Sarah, and Marilyn. Or call the Uber for all of us and be the one to sit up front. ETA. She wanted me to call the Uber and sit up front, and said that the three of them would fit nicely in the back. Just little, subtle digs all conference. An NBSP. Before the closing cocktail reception we were in the bathroom freshening up, and Tiana started talking about a really attractive guy with green eyes at one of her sessions and my ears perked up. ETA. When she continued talking about him I knew it was Tom. She said that she had talked to him briefly and thought there was some chemistry there, and said she was going to ask him out at the closing cocktail reception. I pretended not to know who she was talking about. I just nodded and smiled while she talked about how it was good they were the same age, ETA. Because in her words age gap relationships are gross, and how she hadn't dated anyone in a while and should shoot her shot. An NBSP. While we were at the cocktail reception I, from across the room, watched Tiana go over to Tom and start talking. Tom has told me that she complimented his eyes, said that she didn't see a ring on his finger, and asked if he had a girlfriend. He said, "Yes, Paula, she's actually here." As I was moving through the crowd toward her and Tom, Tiana recovered and ran off, and Sarah has said that she immediately rounded her, Marilyn, and a couple of others up and started shit-talking me, and saying things like how she couldn't believe someone like Tom would date someone like me in the first place, etc. But Sarah has asked me to put this to Reddit because of how mortified and embarrassed Tiana was afterward, so I submit this for public consideration. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. I hope you giggled a lot about this. It might be a good idea to offer some compliments to make her feel better. I like how you have the confidence to come back into the group after embarrassing yourself. I couldn't do it. Good for you. An attractive man with green eyes is such a vague description. How were you supposed to know she meant your BF? Winking face. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You couldn't have been certain the guy she was talking about was Tom. Unless you've checked the eye color and age of every man at the conference. She shot her shot and failed. It happens. NTA there's nothing embarrassing about asking a man out and him politely saying no, I'm attached. She's only mortified because it's you and she sees herself as superior to you. Therefore it's somehow an insult to herself that you have a man that she wanted. This drama is all in her head. It's no big deal. Not the asshole. She gave a vague description and you thought you knew who it was and happened to be right. What if she was talking about another attractive, green-eyed man and you had said, "Actually that's my boyfriend"? Sure. You could have pressed the issue and found out for sure and then let her know, but honestly it doesn't sound like you have the kind of relationship where you would, or would be expected, to push more if it wasn't your boyfriend. Not the asshole. This was honestly the best revenge you could have gotten on her, rolling on the floor laughing she will live. Believe me. And I'm glad the other women found it funny too. This is where a justified asshole option would be beneficial. Sure you knew she was talking about your BF. But after the way she had been treating you, I think she deserved to be embarrassed. Especially since she then shit-talked about you to the others. She might be gorgeous on the outside but doesn't sound like she's very beautiful on the inside. Not the asshole. Tiana wouldn't have believed you if you told her Tom was your boyfriend and would have escalated her shit talk, digs at you and caused drama if you told her. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my ex see our child with cancer? We divorced in 2016. He had 50-50. He saw her for 6 days in 2017, 5 days in 2018, 2 days in 2019, and did not visit in 2020 or 2021 until after she was diagnosed. He visited for 45 minutes while she was inpatient and promised to return the following day. Surprise, he didn't. Just like he failed to show up a ton of times in the previous years. I filed for sole custody and was given sole legal custody with him having visitation the first Saturday of the month from 10/3. During these previous visits, our child said his wife was mean, would purchase items for their child and nothing for her, took her iPad, that I paid for, and gave it to their son. My child says he leaves her with other people, his parents, grandmother, and aunt. He had her pee on the side of the road once because she needed go and he didn't want her to dirty his car. Today, he sends me a text saying, FYI I'm picking up X tomorrow. First, I asked our child and she said she does not want to see him. I force her to do a lot of stuff in regards to medical treatment. I don't want to force her for other things. Second, the court order says to use his time he must inform me 72 hours in advance. When I asked if he was sick, he left me on read. Our child is immunocompromised and neutropenic right now. Any illness could very well kill her. I called the attorney and they said as he failed to inform me 72 hours prior I did not have to allow him to pick her up. Third, he does not know how to use any of her medical devices. She has very specific needs right now and needs a caregiver able to meet them. She also doesn't want anyone except our immediate family to see her bald and with her feeding tube. So, I sent a message and told him I would not meet anywhere. However, I would set up a video conference at his convenience tomorrow. Well, he took a screenshot and shared it to Facebook. This is the first time I've ever said no. His post apparently got a bunch of comments about how I'm a monster keeping his child from him when she has cancer. She could die and I'm holding her hostage. He's using it as a vindication post. He has told everyone for years that I hold her hostage because I'm upset about the divorce. I don't think I'm the asshole, but my mom told me I am. She said he's finally making an effort and I'm taking it away from him on a technicality. He didn't even show up to court and I was on the Zoom call in the hospital while my child was getting a lumbar puncture. She said my child is going to know that I'm creating a situation where I'm taking away half her family. My ex-husband's sister is my BFF going on 16 years. So, she still has all her cousins from his side. My mom's words really hurt. She said instead of helping her feel the love from her father during these hard times, I am only thinking of myself. I know legally I'm right, but morally should I let him come? Not the asshole. Your child said she doesn't want to see him. Because of his irresponsibility you have the legal grounds to not make her see him tomorrow. End of story. Not the asshole, op. This guy cares more about creating Facebook drama than he does for his child who has medical issues. Shame on him and your mother for making you feel bad. Everyone can butt out. Not the asshole is a person with an absent father. All he's doing is setting her up for disappointment over and over. And you said yourself your child did not want to see him. So you didn't use the 72 hours because you didn't want him to see her. She doesn't want to see him. From the looks of it he's given her every reason not to want to see him. If she wants to see him, sure let him come to your house and see her, where all her medical devices are at and you are there if she needs. If that's not good enough for him, well that's your answer on where he stands. Not the asshole you're legally in the clear, and most importantly your kid doesn't want to see him. Not the asshole. Your mom obviously has never been in your position so she's terrible to take advice from, and because she is putting another's interest ahead of your child, her opinion doesn't matter. Your child is medically vulnerable. There can and may be an emergency while he has her. He can't even plan 3 lousy days ahead of time. Your daughter made her wishes clear. She will be angry if you ignore her. She will be miserable, and deserves never to be, because you didn't protect her from her father. I'm so sorry you are going through this. Make the most of your time. Not the asshole he's only asking to see her now to ease his conscience. Not the asshole your child has clearly stated she doesn't want to spend time with a parent that doesn't even want her around. She may be dying and that solidified my opinion that she is calling the shots. He is likely milking the story for sympathy and unfortunately you don't get to provide a rebuttal. However, regarding your mother, exactly what effort is she applauding? He actually contacted you? What a low bar. Not the asshole I'm furious. I'm petty and that would be the last time my mother saw my daughter but my mom would never do that. And #X200B. Edit. You're a good mom. Am I the asshole for calling my Sil cruel for excluding her brother, my husband, from her upcoming wedding? My husband, 32, grew up with one sibling, his sister, 28. Their parenti separated and because of that they drifted apart because each one of them chose one parent to stay with. He had a rocky relationship with Sil growing up as a result, but later got to work out their differences. My husband is a jokester. Sil complains about being on the receiving end of his pranks and jokes whenever they spent time together. She claimed that because of him, she lost her high school friends, her high school sweetheart, and lots of self-esteem because his pranks wore her down emotionally and mentally. Now they're in a better place, but old habits die hard, and my husband is still the jokester he was years ago. Sil got engaged 2 months ago and invited my husband and me. Unfortunately, my husband decided it was a good time to pull a prank on her during the party and lied about her fiancé's brother having an accident that night. He was joking, of course, but things got out of hands and the party got cancelled. My Sil yelled at my husband and hasn't been speaking to him ever since. Now her wedding is comping up, but she hasn't yet sent her brother an invite. Seeing him sad and depressed made me call her to ask what the deal was. She bluntly said she wasn't going to send him an invite to her wedding after he ruined her engagement, but I thought that was excessive. First of all, it was a prank, a regular one that he pulls all the time, and she and everyone else reacted over the top. And besides, he already apologized multiple times, and in my opinion, that should be enough for him to be granted some grace and forgiveness. She said sorry, but she wasn't going to take a risk and invite him so he'd ruin her wedding, and besides that her fiancé does not feel comfortable having him there, and she agreed with him. I was stunned. I called her cruel because this is her brother, and he never had malicious intentions towards her, yet she keeps getting offended and oversensitive over everything he does. At the end of the day, they're family. She asked that I respect her choice, but I said that this is not okay, seeing how sad her brother is because he doesn't want to miss her wedding. She ended the call after saying she owes no one nothing. I found that real harsh and cruel and felt like she keeps punishing him over something that was in the past. My husband started crying when I told him about it, but there are actually some family members agreeing with her decision and telling me off for defending my husband's horrid attitude. You are the asshole. That's not something to joke about. I know the mental distress of a person who is the recipient of cruel jokes like that. Your husband is an asshole for thinking that was a funny joke. You're an asshole for thinking your Sil is cruel, essentially agreeing with your asshole husband. You both sound toxic, and I don't blame Sil for cutting you both out. You and your husband are raging assholes. Totally, you are the asshole. When people say the line of, "Oh, it's just a prank," you know deep down they are assholes, as they are trying to cover up being dicks to people by trying the "calm down, it's a joke" bit. As much as you want to try and cover for him, he absolutely had malicious intent towards his sister for traumatizing her for many, many years. Come on, man, it's just a joke, F off with that shit. And lied about her fiancé's brother having an accident that night. OMG, I can't stop laughing at that one. I'm gonna go tell everyone I know how funny this was. Oh, by the way, my actual brother died in an actual accident, so it's even more thigh-slappingly funny for me. Yeah, you are the asshole and you know it. And he's the biggest asshole of all. That poor bride is probably terrified what will happen to her car, house, friends, or pets while he's banned from the wedding and desperate to play another hilarious prank. I hope she's got security all around her wedding, home and possessions. You are the asshole. Your husband isn't a jokester, he's an infantile bully and you know it. He has proven time and time again that he can't be trusted. He brought this on himself and no one else is at fault but him. It'll be okay, op. After the wedding has happened, your Sil can tell your husband it was just a prank not to invite him and he'll stop being upset about it. That's how that works, right? It's fine if he was upset by it, because it was just a prank. You are the asshole. Edit. I've never gotten gold or awards before. Thanks so much. You are the asshole. Hard to swallow pill. What your hubby and your call pranks and teasing were actually bullying, and she's completely in her right to tell you both you're not invited. You are not the victims here. Hubby fucked around and found out. You are the asshole and so is your husband. He's been tormenting her for years. I'm glad she got the courage to tell him and his pranks to fuck off. Pranks are only funny if all involved are laughing. Otherwise it's bullying. Your husband is a bully. Face it, your husband is an asshole who lacks empathy and timing. And you are an asshole for taking up his cause and going at his sister.